Hello, welcome you all in this video lecture. I'm Momita. Now I'm going to briefly go over essentials of test of hypothesis. Okay, so without wasting time, let's start the topic. So before going to discuss about testing of hypothesis, we should know a little bit about inferential statistics. So statisticians are often concerned in studying some characteristic of population. Okay, but it is not practically possible to study each and every unit of a population. For that reason, we are going for sampling. Okay, but it is also not possible to be 100% certain that our conclusions are correct. Why? Since we are studying a part of a population, that is our sample, not the entire population. Okay. For that reason, we are using statistical inference. Okay. To see how reliable the conclusions are. Okay. Basically the statistical inference is provide methods of drawing conclusions or making decisions about population characteristic based on information about sample. Okay, so here we have two major areas of techniques of inferential statistics. First is estimation, second is testing of hypothesis. Okay, estimation. Estimation is nothing but the way of assigning values to a population parameters based on what values of corresponding statistics, that is function of sample observations. So basically what is estimation? From using estimation you will be able to draw conclusion about our population based on statistics drawn from a sample. So basically we have a population, and from that population we are collecting data, that means we are collecting a sample, and from that sample we are describing a statistic, that means we are calculating statistics like your sample mean, sample variance, and from this statistics we are inferring about population parameter. Okay, how? Using statistical inference technique, and these parameters will help us to draw conclusion about populations, that is the end goal. Okay, okay, where we use the procedure of estimation. So these are some real life example where we can actually use the procedure of estimation, that means where we need to infer about population. For example, a person may wish to get an estimate of average cost of repairing and painting his house, or an agricultural scientist may be interested in estimating average grain in yield per acre after applying a new technique of cultivation, or government may need to estimate the average monthly expenditure by household for different socio-economic classes of people. So in these three real life examples we are trying to conclude the conclusion about the population. Okay, so let's start about the topic testing of hypothesis. So basically it is a statistical procedure. So it is a procedure, it's a step by step process, okay, which using which we'll be able to decide whether we have to accept or reject our statistical hypothesis. Okay, that means it is helping us to decide, taking decisions about our populations. Okay, so where we are using the procedure of testing of hypothesis. For example, if an environmental scientist, sorry, wishes to determine whether the groundwater in a particular region is safe or not on the basis of different water sample collected from it. Here we'll be able to use testing of hypothesis. How? Because here our hypothesis or assumption is that the groundwater of that particular region is safe or is not safe, dangerous. So here we are trying to test whether this statement is correct or not. So using this type of techniques, statistical techniques, that is your testing of hypothesis, will be able to decide whether it is true or not. Okay, let's move to the next slide. First of all, we should know what is hypothesis first. So hypothesis is nothing but assumptions about the unknown characteristic of your population. Okay, that is, you're assuming something about characteristic of population. Characteristic of population is also known as parameters. So you are assuming something about your population parameters. That is your hypothesis. So hypothesis involves, it may involve one or more than one parameters. Okay, so it need not to be true. Okay, it might not, it may not be true, it may be false. But so what are the points that we need to keep in our mind before going to form any hypothesis? First is, your hypothesis should explain what you expect to happen. Okay, that is what you are expected to happen. Second is that hypothesis should be clear and understandable. It should be testable and measurable. Okay, so basically we have two main type of hypothesis. First is null hypothesis, second is alternative hypothesis. Okay, what is null hypothesis? Basically, null hypothesis is a statement about the value of a parameter. Okay, it's a statement about value of a parameters which we adopt until it is proven false. Okay, and what is our alternative? It is just opposite to your null hypothesis, which it is complementary to null hypothesis, you can say. So let's, null hypothesis is also denoted by H0 or H null. Okay, sometimes people may call it as hypothesis of no difference. Okay, hypothesis of no difference, and it nullifies the original hypothesis. That is, whatever you are trying to the test, whatever you are trying to test, whatever you are saying that it might happen, you have to formulate your null hypothesis just opposite of that statement. Alternative hypothesis, on the other hand, it is denoted by HA or H1. It's also known as research hypothesis. It's also known as research hypothesis, and against which null hypothesis is tested. Okay, and alternative hypotheses are of two types. First is your one-sided alternative hypothesis and two-sided alternative hypothesis. So here we can see null hypothesis. This is an example of null hypothesis, where null hypothesis is mu, that is your population mean, is equal to mu null, which is a constant that you are expecting your population mean is that much. Or else you can formulate your null hypothesis like this: your population, you have two population, 1 and 2, and from these two population we are calculating mu1, that is population mean of first population, mean of second population, and you are saying that mean of these two populations are same. Okay, why this is also called as hypothesis of no difference? Because here we are not preferring, we are not supporting any one of these two population. Okay, for that reason also sometimes people may call it as hypothesis of no difference. On the other hand, alternative hypothesis, one-sided and two-sided, here you can see, here we are seeing that our first mean of first population is less than mean of second population, which is also known as one-sided left tail. Left tail, why? Because here we are using less than sign. Here greater than means right tail test. If your hypothesis is like that, your first mean, first population mean is not equal to second population mean, then it is the example of two-sided or directionless hypothesis. Okay, now we have two more type of hypothesis, that is simple hypothesis and composite hypothesis. Okay, when do you call a hypothesis a simple hypothesis? When your hypothesis specifies all the parameters of a probability distribution, then it will be called as a simple hypothesis. For example, here you are specifying your parameter, that is mu is equal to mu null or mu1 is equal to mu2. You're specifying your hypothesis. Here in composite hypothesis, where it's not at all specified, here we don't know what is your mu. We are saying mu is not equal to mu null, but we don't know whether it is mu2 or mu1 like this. Here also, here we are saying our mu is less than equal to greater than equal to mu null. We don't know the exact value of mu. Okay, for that reason it is called as composite hypothesis, where only some of your parameters are specified. Okay, now take an example. Let's take an example. So how to formulate null hypothesis or alternative hypothesis for a real life problem. Okay, so here saying that suppose that a bottle of a particular brand of a soft drink is supposed to contain 300 ml as advertised. Okay, the quantity varies little from bottle to bottle due to lack of precision of the filling machinery. So one customer suspect that the bottler is underfilling the bottles. So here collected a sample of 30 bottles to test if the mean content of the bottle is 300 ml or less. So how to formulate hypothesis in that case? So here what we are trying to test is whether mean, that is mean content of bottle is equal to 300 or not. That is what we want to test. So what will be a null hypothesis here? Null hypothesis will be, this is your null hypothesis. You are expecting that your mean content of bottle is not 300, it is less than 300. That is, you have to formulate your null hypothesis just opposite to that, that is mu equal to 300. And what will be your alternative hypothesis? Just what that you want to test, that is your mu or mean content of all bottle is equal to, not equal, that is less than 300. That is your alternative hypothesis. That is what you want to test or suspected to be happen. That is your alternative hypothesis. Okay, so decisions error. Basically we have two type of decision error, type 1 error and type 2 error. So basically what are those? When your null hypothesis is true but you are rejecting your hypothesis, in that case this type of error is called type 1 error, which is also denoted by alpha. Okay, and when you are accepting your hypothesis but your hypothesis is false, in that case this type of decision error is called as type 2 error, which is also denoted by beta. Okay, so type 1 error is denoted by alpha and type 2 error denoted by beta. Okay, type 1 means rejecting true hypothesis, type 2 means accepting false hypothesis. Okay, and if you are Rejecting false hypothesis means you are right, you are making correct decisions. If you are accepting correct hypothesis or true hypothesis, that means correct acceptance. Okay. So next terminology is level of significance, which is nothing but maximum probability of type 1 error. Okay, which is also denoted by alpha. So generally level of significance employed at testing hypothesis are 5% and 1%. 5% means you are there are 5% chances of type 1 occurring type 1 error, and 95% you are 95% sure that there will be no type 1 error. That means we'll be not rejecting any true hypothesis. Okay, so next is your power of a test. Power of a test is nothing but the 1 minus beta. Beta means type 2 error, that is 1 minus probability of type 2 error. That is your power of your test. Basically it is the probability of rejecting null hypothesis when it is false. Okay, next is test statistic. Test statistics is a statistic, that is what is statistics, function of sample observation, which is used to test null hypothesis. So basically based on these statistics, test statistics, you will be able to know whether your hypothesis is correct or not, whether we have to reject that hypothesis or accept that hypothesis. So this is the basic formula of test statistic, that is statistic minus parameter by standard error. Okay, now statistics means the population parameter, like your population mean, and statistics means your sample characteristic, like your sample mean, and parameter is your population characteristic. For example, population mean, population standard deviation. Standard error is nothing but the standard deviation of sampling distribution. So in sampling distribution, we are calling standard deviation as standard error. And now this test statistics varies from sample to sample. So next is your critical region, which is very important. So basically there are two approaches for making a decision regarding rejection or non-rejection of your null hypothesis. The first is your p-value approach, and second is your critical region. So here we are trying to explain the critical region concept. So let's start. Okay, so here in critical region, actually the entire set of possible values of test statistics is divided into two sets or two regions. First is your rejection region, or you can say critical region. Second is non-rejection region. Okay, that means the test statistics can take values, and these values are divided into two sets. One is rejection region and second one is non-rejection region. Okay, so the region which consisting of values that supports your alternative hypothesis and leads to rejection of your null hypothesis will called as your rejection region. Means if the values lying in your rejection region, then that will support your alternative hypothesis and automatically that's gonna reject your null hypothesis. Okay, and if your values supporting your null hypothesis, then this region will be called as non-rejection region. Okay, and if the values of test statistics lies at boundary of critical region, like this, boundary of critical region, boundary of acceptance region and your non-rejection region, this is known as your critical value. The critical value is basically the boundary Okay, boundary between critical region and acceptance region. Okay, it separates the critical region and acceptance regions, and the critical value depends on the level of significance or alpha. Okay, I hope that makes sense to you. Okay, so here we have two different type of tests. First is one tail test and two tail test. Okay, so when your critical region is in one tail of the distribution of test statistics, then the test will be called as one tail test, like this one, this two, this, sorry, not this one, these two are examples of one tail test. Okay, these two are example of one tail test, like this. Here we can see the critical region is in one tail. Here it is left tail, here it is right tail. And if it is in right and left both, then it will be called as two tail critical region. Okay, and this type of tail is depends upon your alternative hypothesis. If your alternative hypothesis is one tail, then your test will be called as one tail test. If your alternative hypothesis is two tail, that means like this. Here we can't decide that in which direction your alternative hypothesis is going. In that case, this type of test will be called as two tail test. Okay, so what is degrees of freedom? Okay, this term is very important. It's showing the number of observation that are free to vary. Okay, showing the number of observation that are free to vary. Okay, so basically degree of freedoms is the number of parameters minus the number of constraint. Here you can see constraint means number of parameters of the system that may vary independently. Here k is your constant, n is your total number of items. Okay, and degree of freedoms is very important, that we need to remember, that is the number of observation minus number of constraint. Okay, or we can say number of parameters of the system that may vary independently. Okay, these are the steps in testing hypothesis. So first test is drawing null and alternative hypothesis. So first of all, we need to draw our null and alternative first. Then next step is to formulate. So next step is to statement of your level of significance. That means whether it is 5% level of significance or 1% level of significance, that you need to decide first. Then your next step is to selection of your test statistics and determination of its sampling distribution, that is sampling distribution under your null hypothesis. Next is your critical value, that means determination of observed value of test statistics. Okay, next is your significance of test statistics, whether your test statistic is significant or not. It will be called as significant if your null hypothesis is rejected. If your null hypothesis is accepted, that means your test is not significant. And based on this significance, decisions about null hypothesis making, whether to reject or not. And after that, and the last, we are able to conclude about our population parameter. That's all about steps in testing of hypothesis. That is, first we need to formulate our null and alternative hypothesis, then statement of level of significance, then selection of test statistics, then determination of observable or critical value, then significance, significance of test statistics, then decisions about our null hypothesis, lastly conclusions about the test. Okay, that's all for today. Thank you for listening. If you like my effort, please like my video and subscribe to my channel.